Hey everyone, Mel here. In today's flow, you may or may not need a block or a block substitute, and we'll be moving quite a bit into the spine. Not necessarily finding huge back bends or really deep flexion, but really just trying to get some movement, rotation, extension, but in the height form of this class. So just listening to your spine the whole time, it will give you lots of indications of how deep it wants to go. Just trying to avoid cranking into that lower back at all times if we can, but really just letting your spine explore the space. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll start in child's pose. So if you can find a child's pose, bring your big toes together and your knees are either wide or they're really close. And just start to reach your arms forward and come onto either your forehead, chest can come down, or you can bring your head onto your hands. And as you find this pose, just try to move a little bit to start. So get into the shoulders or the hips, just tiny little micro movements. Just paying attention to your hips, your back perhaps, your shoulders, just how everything feels. And then just letting your breath come into focus and taking the time just to check in with how the breath is flowing today. It's feeling a little shallow. As we step into our practice, it's a really good opportunity just to step into that awareness of how your breath is flowing in and out. And if you feel like it's really shallow, or just feels a little irregular, just try to deepen the breath slightly. Breathe in and out through the nose. Let's just take a few more breaths here, clearing out as much space as we can. When you come to the end of your next breath, just slowly start to make your way up onto your hands and your knees. Find your 4-point pose. And this is going to look different in everyone. So some people want to have the hands further forward or the sit bones further back, but just to move a bit until you find a position that works for you, ideally with stacked joints. And then once you find your pose, start to move into some cat-cows. So inhale, lift the tail, drop the belly, draw the heart forward. And then exhale, round the lower, the mid, the upper back, press into the hands, drop the head. Continue that, breath in, lengthen through the front of your spine. Once again, the emphasis on lengthening, pull the heart forward. And then exhale, rolling the tail, lifting up. And again, big breath in. And a big breath out. And just doing the same thing. Inhale, lift the tail, drop the belly, pull the heart forward, but drop the sit bones back. And then exhale, roll the spine towards the ceiling, but lean slightly further forward. Inhale, lift the tail, drop the belly, leaning back. And then exhale, rolling the spine forward. Now when you come back, let's tuck the toes, move into a neutral spine, and then straight away float up into a downward facing dog. So as you find your way into down dog, just like when you came into all fours, add movements that let you align for your body. And that could be up on your toes, your knees could be quite bent here. You can play around with lots of different spaces. Feet maybe even want to be closer to your hands. Maybe you feel like they're too close. Let your head fall between your biceps, that lift of the tail. And then when you're ready, finding a little bit of stillness, and we're going to do a really similar movement to that cat-cow with the rocking forwards and back, but in down dog. So as you next breathe in, lift up onto your tippy toes, rolling forward. And then as you get a little further forward, bend your knees, lift your tail, drop your belly, and kind of roll it all the way back. We'll just do that a couple more times. Inhale. Stay on your tippy toes, just come forward. They're quite little movements. Bend the knees, sink it back, lifting up. And again, rolling forward. Bend the knees, sinking back, coming up. Take a breath in here. And then dropping your knees, let's come into melting heart. So keep your sit bones above your knees. Walk your hands forward. You can untuck your toes or keep them tucked. Reach your arms forward. Drop your forehead down, the heart down. Or once again, bring the hands in. Rest your forehead on your hands or your forearms. And in this one, just coming back to that flow of breath, really thinking of lengthening through the sides of the body. And just take one more full breath in. And as you start to exhale, start to roll forward onto your belly. Let's come into our Sphinx pose here. Now in this pose, ideally elbows are underneath the shoulders, but if it feels too intense, just sliding them forward is just as good. From here though, spark the fingers out towards the corners of your mat, press the tops of your feet down and pull your heart forward. And it's a really small engagement, but if you just hug those elbows back towards the rib cage, you'll really feel that pull in the mid-back, like a good pull. Relax your shoulders. And take another full breath in here. And then as you breathe out, bring your hands to become underneath your forehead, elbows out to the side. Just rest your forehead down. Take your toes together. Send your heels out wide so that the heels press on the edges of the mat. And we'll just try to broaden through that lower back here. If you feel the urge to wiggle, go ahead. Let's take one more full breath. And then coming back onto the tops of your feet, wiggle your elbows in, come back into Sphinx for a moment. And we're going to come into kind of a dancing variation. So come right up onto the fingertips and lifting up through the palms of the hands, but sucking the fingers towards one another. Now press the tops of your feet down so your knees lift, your glutes switch on, and then just lifting up a little. Take a big breath in, pull your heart forward. And then as you breathe out, look towards your right foot and push your left elbow forward so you sink your chest a little. Then inhale, come back. Exhale, look towards your left foot, push your right elbow forward just a little, drop the chest a little. Coming back to center, lifting just as high as you want to here. And for some, straightening the arms might feel nice. And then exhale, just float your forehead down. Slide your hands now underneath your shoulders or back beside the rib cage. You're going to drop the forehead, then roll the shoulders up, find cobra. Tuck the toes, lifting up, send it back, downward facing dog. So finding our down dog, let's just move around, pedal the feet, as always. Any kind of movement is encouraged. And then finding that stillness. Your next breath in, you can start to lift up onto your tippy toes and then walking your feet towards the top of the mat. We're going to come straight up to standing, so bend your knees, rolling all the way up. And give your shoulders a nice big roll. Once you get to the top, lift up. Bring your hands together, make a little pistol grip. In lengthening through the index fingers, lifting high. Take another inhale, just a teeny back bend. So with this one, don't think about coming back too far. Push into the balls of the feet, lift the heart up. Take an inhale. And then as you exhale, just let your arms come wide and come into a forward fold. Now bending your knees, let your belly kind of come onto the thighs here. You can hold your legs and let your arms just touch the ground, your hands touch the ground, or maybe coming into more of a ragdoll. I'll encourage you to bend the knees and sway from side to side. I'm taking just one big breath in here. As you breathe out, let your hands come towards the ground. Sliding them up onto the legs, let's move into a halfway lift. So really think about lengthening through the crown of your head, pulling your shoulders back, push through the balls of your feet. Take a big inhale, and then drop your right hand down, either onto the left leg or in front of the left foot, and bending the right knee a fair bit. Turn towards the left and float your left arm up. Take a big breath in, and then as you breathe out, just switch that over to the other side. So bend your left knee, bring your left hand onto the leg or the ground, float the right hand down. Take a big inhale, exhale, bringing the hands down, finding that fold. Halfway lifting on your breath in, hands can ground, they could float, they could press. And then bring your hands onto the earth, step back into plank pose, knees or toes to the top of a push-up. Now as you find this, feel free to wiggle about, push your heels back, draw your shoulders back, lift through the upper mid-back. Breathe in to come forward a little. Lower, hugging your elbows into the sides of the body, come all the way to the ground. This time, untuck your toes, hop your hands slightly further forward than that last dancing cobra. Lift the elbows, roll your heart up. And then exhale, float your heart and your forehead down, hands underneath the shoulders. Tuck your toes. Let's push up plank pose. Downward facing dog from here. Take a full breath in and out. Your next inhale, let's float the right leg up towards the ceiling and bend the right knee. Let's start to get into that hip. So move around a little bit here, flexing, maybe pointing the foot, playing around. And if you're feeling okay to drop onto your left elbow, so keep the right hand down, drop onto your left elbow and look underneath that right shoulder. Take another full breath in. And then as you breathe out, you can either stay on your left elbow, but it will feel a bit easier to lift back up. Pull your right knee forward, bring it behind your right wrist and come into half pigeon. Extend your left leg, right heel around that left hip. Breathe the heart up, inhale. Let the elbows come out to the sides as you drop your heart, exhale. Inhale, coming back up. Ground your hands about shoulder distance, tuck your back toes, float the knee up, downward facing dog. As soon as you come back, float the left leg up, bend the left knee, open that hip. Feel free to move from side to side or adjust the foot. And if you're still feeling good, drop onto your right elbow, maybe look underneath the left shoulder. You can slide that left hand out a bit. Now keeping the elbow grounded or lifting into the hand, start to bring the knee forward, come into half pigeon. Left knee behind the left wrist more or less, right leg nice and straight. Hands out a little wider, pull your heart forward, push into the top of that back foot, and then exhale, bringing it down. When you're ready, coming back up, bringing your hands shoulder distance, press into them, tuck your back toes, float that leg up, downward facing dog. Take another full breath in and out. When you're ready, floating your right leg back up, let's bend the knee, why not? Open the hip. And then from here, stepping the right foot between the hands. So doing this in as many steps as you need, drop your back knee. You can untuck your back toes or keep the toes tucked. Just move back and forth through the hips, as always. And when you're ready to find stillness, plant that right foot, press into it, hook your thumbs together so they look like a little butterfly kind of hands. And then lifting up, floating the fingertips up, finding height here. Pull the arms back, the head forward of the biceps. Take another full breath in. And then breathe out to bring your hands all the way down, either side of your front foot. And we're coming into a modified half Hanuman. So by that, I mean we're coming back, but then continuing back to drop our left hip onto that left heel. And so that we're kind of grounded through that side. You can walk your hands back, flex your right foot, hands can come wide and start to fold down. Take just a couple of breaths here. You should feel a bit of a stretch through that right hamstring. One more. And then from here, spring forward again into that low lunge. We're going to walk the hands forward, float the back knee up, and then come all the way up to stand, pulling the left knee in with us. So as you come up, hook your hands around the left knee, flexing here, or point your toes, push into the right foot, lean back, but hold the knee. Maybe bring your gaze up to challenge the balance. It's just a gentle lean back. Take another full breath in. And then let your left foot come down onto the inside of your right foot. From here, feet about hip distance. Inhale, lift your arms up. And as you exhale, diving all the way back into a forward fold. Move into a halfway lift. Take a full breath in. Ground your hands, step back, plank pose. The top of a push-up, knees or toes. Inhale, this time a chaturanga. Exhale, lower down. Halfway if you're coming into up dog. And then pressing it back. Coming into downward facing dog on your exhale. Take a big breath, pedal about if you need, and then left leg lifts up, bend the knee, open that hip. Take an inhale here, and then pull the knee forward, stepping the foot between the hands. Take your time to get there, touch down as much as you need. Drop your back knee, move forwards and back. Get comfortable into your hips before you start to find that reach up. And then when you're ready, hook your thumbs, spark your fingers, find height. Send the hands back, but bring the head forward. And take another full breath in. Arms come wide on the exhale, that modified half Hanuman, so send it back. You can untuck your back toes if that's easier, or keep them tucked, really up to you. Lean back to sit on that right heel, flex your left foot, and just fold forward a little. Doesn't need to be far. Just a couple more breaths here. Then slowly start to rebend that front knee. Walk your hands forward. We're coming up to standing. We're going to pull that right knee with us. Interlace the hands, hug the right knee in, stand up nice and tall. Point the right toes perhaps. Lean back just a little. So leaning into that, maybe bring the gaze up if your balance isn't too affected. Take another full breath in. And then breath out, just let that foot come down. Give yourself a little bit of a wiggle here if you need. Inhale, lift the arms up. And then as you exhale, dive them through your heart. Find a halfway lift. Take a breath in. Ground your hands. Step back. Chaturanga. Or way right back to down dog. Take a breath in. Exhale, lower. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Downward facing dog on your exhale breath. When you're ready, you're going to float that right leg back up. Bend the right knee. Open that hip. Take a big inhale. And then exhale, stepping that foot between the hands. Once again, drop your back knee, hook your thumbs together, untuck your back toes perhaps. Inhale, find those little arrow hands. And then when you exhale, keep your right hand lifted, but drop your left hand onto the back of that left leg. So it might be kind of high up, might be around the calf or the back of the knee. Reach the right hand back. Take a big breath in. And breath out, cartwheel your hands forward. Let's send it back into that modified half Hanuman. So coming all the way back, leaning into it, dropping down just for an inhale and an exhale. And then coming forward, standing up, so leaning into that right foot. Pull your left knee in, point the toes, lift up, pull your heart back. And then if you want to here, extend your right hand towards the ceiling. Start to bring that left foot back, grab the inside of it. Let's come into dances. So as we do that, right hand comes forward, left foot comes up and back. Take a full breath in. Breath out, just let that go. Let the left foot come down. Bring both hands up, bring them together, a little pistol grip. Find the back bit. Exhale, let's dive all the way down. Halfway lift on your breath in. Ground your hands, chaturanga or downward facing dog. You find your rhythm, inhale. Lower, exhale. Breath in, up dog or cobra. Downward facing dog. When you arrive back, left leg lifts up. Bend the knee, open the hip. Step it forward, come into low lunge, drop your back knee, hook the thumbs, spark the fingers, maybe untuck the toes, find that little arrow. And then letting the left hand stay up, bring the right hand back. Ground wherever on that leg it falls. Find height, breath in. Breath out, hands come down. Lean back into that heel, flexing that front foot. Full breath. And start to come forward, coming up to standing. So pulling the right knee in with you, hooking the hands around. Stay here, you can add that little back bend. Or start to extend the left arm, slide the right foot back, hold on to the inner edge of it. Find a dancer's pose. Take a full breath in. And breath out, bring it back. Ground the right foot, interlace into that pistol grip, little back bend, inhale. Exhale, wide arms, find your fold. Inhale, halfway lifting. Exhale, ground your hands. Move back to plank, but this time, inhale, come forward. Lower to the ground, exhale. Untuck your toes. First of all, just finding a little cobra inhale. And then drop the forehead down, exhale. Hop your hands out so the fingers splay out a little wider than they were before perhaps, but quite close to the body still. We're going to take the feet, however, slightly wider and pushing into the tops of the feet and the tops of the legs, lifting into seal. Draw your shoulders back. If you're finding your pelvis is lifting, just lower down a little so that it doesn't. Otherwise, trying to find that space in the back, pull the heart forward. I'm going to take a full breath in. And then as you breathe out, just slowly coming down, bringing your forehead down. Slide your feet back to hip distance, come into our Sphinx pose. Pull the heart up and forward, inhale. Right hand now comes beside the rib cage. Lean into the left side of the body. Take your right foot over to the left and then open up your right arm. Take a big breath in and then bring that right hand down. Let's slide onto the right elbow. Bring the left hand back towards the left rib cage and then lean onto the right hand side. Bring the left leg back. Keep the hand grounded or open it up. Take a big breath in and bring it back, finding that Sphinx once again. Inhale, pull the heart forward. Exhale, drop the forehead. Slide your hands back underneath your shoulders. Hop them out about a couple of centimeters. Fingers turn out. Feet out a little wider. Find the seal pose. Pressing into the hands. Draw the shoulders back. Now, if this feels really crampy in your lower back, once again, just lower or find Sphinx. From here, though, if you want to, lean into the left side of your body. Pick your right foot up. And drop your right foot over to the left. Now leaning into your left hand, straighten that left leg, start to lift your hips and come into a modified flip dog. Take a full breath in, and from this position, transfer forward, step the right foot to the top of your mat or forward, wherever that is. Inhale, hook the thumbs, keep the back knee lifted, come into Crescent Lunge, that little arrow. Take a big breath in, bring the hands down either side of your front foot. Shift the weight forward and then hold on to your left knee, come up, pointing the toes, finding that little back bend, or maybe coming into dances, holding on to the inside of the left foot, right hand comes up. Take a big breath in and breath out, let that go. Hands together, find that pistol grip, inhale. Exhale, finding your fold. Halfway lift on your breath in. Ground your hands back to plank, then come to the ground. Inhale, shift forward though. Exhale, lower down. Coming onto the tops of the feet, feet out a little wider, hands out just slightly wider, seal pose. Lift your heart, draw your shoulders back. Stay here and know that you'll transition into Crescent Lunge on the left-hand side, or lean into your right hand, take the left foot over to the right, keeping that right leg straight, point the toe, start to find that extension, and then however you get it there, you might need to hop the foot forward, but step the left foot forward. Hook the thumbs, roll onto the ball of the back foot, a little arrow, and then exhale, hands come down. As you do that, start to gather up, clasp the hands around the knee, and then maybe come into dancer's pose, extending and lifting. It might be a small one, go as big as you like. Letting that go, let the right foot come down, clasp the hands, little pistol grip. Exhale, dive your hands to your heart. Halfway lift, inhale. Ground your hands, step, float back, chaturanga. Inhale, lower, exhale. Breath in, up dog or cobra. Downward facing dog, exhale, breath. Holding here for a breath or two. And when you're ready, right leg lifts up. Bend your right knee, open up through your right hip. Pulling the knee forward, step the foot between the hands, drop your back knee. Untuck your back toes, hook the thumbs, once again, come up into those arrow fingers, lift your heart. Now stay here, or cactus your arms and bring your hands onto the small of the back. Press your hands into the small of the back, and lifting and squeezing your elbows back, lift your heart. Take another full breath in. And as you breathe out, lift your hips slightly, start to send them back, that modified half Hanuman. So back toes, remember, can be tucked or untucked, whatever feels better. Now you can stay up high or you can fold down. But from here, we're going to start to change things up a little bit. So bringing the left hand down beside the left leg, maybe using a block or something just to prop your hand up on. We're going to hold on to the peace finger, the big toe of the right foot with the right peace fingers, and come up onto your left fingers, and we're going to kind of slingshot forward. As we do, we're leaning into that left hand, left knee, float the right leg up, take a big breath in to open your heart, little back bend here, then bend that knee, drop the foot back into the lunge. Inhale, hands just come up, find height, and then exhale, arms come down and wide. Tuck your back toes, three-legged dog, right leg comes up, bend the right knee. Maybe flip your dog, take your right foot over to the left, bend both knees. Find the extension that works best for you. If you're feeling pretty good here, hop your right foot back a little bit, drop onto your right knee. It's like you're doing a lunge now to the back of the mat. Find a bit of space. Take a full breath in. And then exhale, come back, downward facing dog. Take a breath. When you're ready, left leg floats up. Bend the knee, let that hip open. And then step the foot forward and drop your back knee. From here, hooking up with the fingers, you can untuck your back toes, find the little arrow, take a big breath in. Stay here or cactus your arms and find that deeper and supported back bend, so holding on to the back. Fingertips down, squeeze the elbows. Nice. Take another full breath in and using a bit of lift of the hips, supporting here, leaning back, bringing your arms forward, fold down, send it back. Welcome to stay here, because you should be getting a bit of a quad stretch, a bit of a hamstring stretch. Otherwise, right hand comes down beside the right leg, and we're going to interlace here. It's totally in my face. Hook the left peace fingers around the left big toe. Right hand comes down, and you don't need to come that far forward. You could just come forward a little. Otherwise, leaning into that right hand, maybe even keeping the leg bent or extending here. Take another full breath in, and then with control, stepping that foot forward. Inhale, lifting up, leaning into that lunge. Exhale, hands come down, ready for three-legged dog. Plant the hands, tuck the back toes, bend the knee, open that hip. Now stay here or drop it down over to that right-hand side. Bend the knees and then just push into a space that feels good for you. Want a little bit more? That left foot, and hop back a little. Drop the knee. It's like you're coming into a little lunge. Push your hips to the back of the mat. And then from here, downward facing dog. Take a few breaths. Big inhale and exhale. Inhale, lift up onto your tippy toes. Drop your knees, melting heart. Hips above the knees. Untuck your toes. Reach your hands forward, sinking your heart or your forehead down. Whatever feels the best for you. Hands can come under the head. Child's pose is also a good option here. And we're holding here for a few breaths. We're really trying to get that space in the back. For those of you that feel like you've got a lot of space in your back and you just want to push it a little bit further, you can keep your arms lengthened. And I won't talk so much when I come into this one because I need to put the microphone on the ground and it will interfere with my speech. So the chest will come down and you'll just simply straighten the legs but keeping the chest grounded. So dropping down, tuck your toes, lift up. Or just stay in an option that works for you. One more full breath here. And slowly start to, whatever option you come into, drop your sit bones back towards your heels, bring your knees together. Closed leg child's pose. Head can come to the ground. You can hold on to your heels. Two more breaths. And slowly start to lift back up. From here, I'm going to turn forward, but you can stay the direction that you are. We're going to come just into a forward fold. So from here, lengthening your legs forward, sitting on something if this feels a bit too much, or keeping the knees really bent. And then finding a bit of height. Let's just find a little bit of rounding through the back as we lean the belly towards the thighs. You can hold your feet. It might feel nice to wrap your arms around the backs of your knees. And just think about dropping your head. And just holding here for a few breaths. And slowly from here, whatever option we're in, just rolling up. We're going to come onto our backs now. So as we roll up, we're moving into a plow. And if you want to use something like a block for a restorative bridge, or maybe you even want to just come into a bridge, go ahead. If you're wanting to come with me, what we're going to do is from here, from our forward fold, bring the hands beside the hips, and then from here, roll back onto the spine until the feet come back, maybe touching the ground. But you can just let your hips hover and your feet hover. You could find support with your hands here, a little bit lower. And just take a few deep breaths. Option to just stay on the ground with the spine, legs lifted to the ceiling. You can even hold the backs of your legs. Just take a couple of your breaths, and then when you're ready, rolling back onto your spine, and whatever option you've come into, just gently starting to hug your knees into your belly and just roll from side to side. Encouraging a little bit of movement. I'm doing this for as long as you need. Holding your right knee in, extending your left leg long. Holding onto your right knee, take it over to the left, open up your right arm, come into a supine twist. If you want more for your quads here, bending your left knee so your left foot comes towards your left sit bone, hold on to the foot, and try to just get a bit of engagement as you encourage the knee down and you pull that foot towards your sit bones. And take one more breath. And slowly coming back to center, hug the knees in. And then just doing it on the other side, holding onto your left knee, right leg extends, take the left knee over to the right, open up your left arm, stay here, or bending that right leg, holding onto the foot. And slowly coming back, holding onto the knees, doing any other shapes that feel good, maybe a happy baby, maybe an inversion, maybe you want to hang out in restorative bridge for a little while. But if you can, resting your body, always being aware of the space you're in and the environment you're in. It might not be one that you can relax in right now, especially if you've got kids and animals around. Kind of an unwritten rule that they won't have a bar of Shavasana in respect for you to have it either. But if you can, try to find a little bit of space to just surrender, let your body kind of digest everything that's happened in the class. Maybe close down the eyes, just feel that feeling of support and anchoring from the earth. Just take a few deep breaths to help you really settle in. Nice long, slow breaths. Emphasis on the exhale. And as I mentioned, please stay here. If this is working for you, you can stay here for as long as you can. Otherwise, I'm going to sign off here. Thank you for joining me. Any questions or feedback, please feel free to pass on. My name is Mel. Namaste.